So let's make a line graph. So let's look at the data table to the left here. So we have the time in minutes, and then we have the number of flies that were recorded at that time period. So the first thing you need to do is to figure out which of these variables goes on the x and y axis. So in general, the x-axis gets the independent variable. This is the one that the experimenter had control over. So in the case of these two variables here, that would be the time in minutes that was recorded. So we're going to put in the x-axis variable time in minutes. And I'm going to fill in my y-axis variable. So this is the dependent variable, and it's the thing that you measured. So in this case, that was the number of flies. So now that we have our variables on our axes, now it's time to figure out the scale we're using for each side of our graph. So let's look at the time in minutes. So I'm going to take my largest data point here in time in minutes, which is 50, and then I'm going to divide it by the number of increments that is here. So let's bring up the calculator. So I have 50 divided by, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to divide that by 10. And that gives me 5. That's a nice number to count by. So that means that I can count by fives for each of these lines all the way up to 50 for my scale on my graph. So this would be 5, 10, okay, so that means this line is equivalent to 5, this line is equivalent to 10, this line is equivalent to 15, and so on. Let's do the same thing for the scale for the number of flies. So I'm going to take my largest data point, which in this case was 18, and then I'm going to divide it by the number of increments. So if I look here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 increments. So I'm going to take 18 divided by 10, and that gives me 1.8. It's going to be really hard to count by 1.8. So I'm going to choose a number that is above 1.8. That's easy to count by. So in this case, that would be 2. So I'm going to count by 2's moving up this axis. So in this box, I'm going to have 2. If I count by 2's, my next box would be 4. So now that we have our scales on each axis, now we can start to plot our points. So our first data point is at time of 5 minutes, and the number of flies is 1. So I'm going to use one of these data points here, and I'm going to drag it to 5 minutes, and then the number of flies would be 1. So that data point is going to go here. My next one would be 10 minutes, and there were 4 flies. So at 10 minutes, so there's my 10 minutes, I have 4 flies. 15 minutes, I have 6 flies. 20 minutes, I have 4 flies. 25 minutes, I have 8 flies. 30 minutes, I have 12 flies. 35 minutes, again I have 12. 40 minutes, I have 14. 45 minutes, I have 16. And then at 15 minutes, or 50 minutes, I have 18. Okay, so there's my points, and then I'm going to connect those points with lines. So I'm going to use the line tool up here, so I'm just going to click the line tool, and then I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to draw a line to my first data point. It's okay if these are a little bit off, I just want you to get the general idea. All right, and then I'm going to draw a line from this data point to the next one. I'm going to continue drawing my lines. and connecting my points. So you can use these little purple dots to help you line up your lines. Okay, and there we go. I have made my line graph. I'm just going to fix this one a little bit because it's really bugging me. There we go. That looks pretty. Okay, so there's my line graph.